Good evening, everybody. Welcome into the Outer Rhythm Fantasy Studios. I'm Jamie. That's Eli. And we have a guest today, Pete Supernova. Oh,
Yes, sir.
that's classy.
It's classy. The last name's Terranova, but I go with Supernova. It's like an alias, I guess. Everybody kind of needs one at some point. But yeah, happy to be here with you guys.
Awesome.
He's got an alias. You've got an alias. I need one next. But to the Outer Rhythm universe, welcome in, man. This is Wednesday night. We're back again. NFC East preview edition. Yeah.
Acknowledge me.
Acknowledge him, like Roman said. Acknowledge us, all three of us. Yeah, like LA Knight says. We work a little football in here, a little wrestling. Hell, I'll mention the Boston Celtics won the NBA championship. So I mean, there's a bunch of stuff going on in sports right now. Jay is not a fan of Jason Tatum and the boys, but
me either.
Celtics pulled that out. But I'm talking about NFC East tonight, and like we started off with Pete Nova. He's kind of a big deal. He's coming in for a little bit on the show. So I mean, we'll see how much of his time we can take up, and then if we have any other stuff. But yeah, make sure that everybody that's following, you subscribe, you do all that good stuff, because we need it. We do. Yeah. And then you can go back and watch any of the previous stuff on YouTube. Listen to it, Spotify. If you're traveling, at the gym, dude, we got less than 3 months. Less than 3 months before the season starts. I mean, preseason games are in less than 2. So I mean, things are going to start rolling here with these fantasy drafts, and maybe Brandon Ayuk gets traded. So I mean, there's stuff coming up in the pipeline. But if you want to watch any of the previous stuff, or watch last week's content about the AFC East and me taking a hammer and just bashing the New England Patriots into oblivion, you can go ahead and do that as well. Discord, that's pretty much like the messenger for fantasy people. So Discord's always a fun debate over there, and just getting ideas out there. Anything else, Jay? I gave my whole spiel here.
No, I don't think so. Just make sure you guys, anything audio, Spotify, Apple. I mean, Google's long gone, and then whatever. Those are our main sticks over there. But yeah, if you guys want, we just hit the AFC East. That was a nice plethora of information in there. It pretty much, we broke down everything in there. But yeah, as Eli said, we kind of bashed the Patriots a little bit. So if you guys don't like the Patriots, go over and check that out right now.
I'm gonna do a number on the Giants too. You just tune in. You give me about an hour here. Yeah, I'm gonna be tearing into them too.
Let's do a whole show dedicated to hating on the Giants.
Yes.
We could. But anyways, yes, we have Pete Supernova from the Face Off Fantasy Studios, or whatever the heck you want to call it. But it's a great place over there.
Yeah, close enough. But yeah, I'm happy. Like I said, I'm happy to be with you guys. I know Jamie's been supports our show over at Face Off, and is always in the chat on YouTube, and so we appreciate that. So figured let's get a collaboration going. I've tuned into your shows before. You guys do a really good job at just kind of breaking stuff down, and while some other shows kind of go surface level and they kind of hit a bunch of different things, you guys take your time and really just kind of sink your teeth into stuff and provide a lot of details. So I'm sure your viewers appreciate that, and hopefully I can bring a little bit of a different perspective from what you guys offer, but it should be a good blend here. So I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, I am too as well. I mean, Anthony, your host over there, I mean, he actually had to Google what a booty monster was, but he didn't know we were talking about Keishon Butte. But hey, that was kind of hilarious. So I had to bust out laughing. The wife actually stopped, and she's like, "Are you laughing at me?" I'm like, "No, I'm laughing at totally something else."
Well, talking about sinking your teeth into stuff and booty monsters. I mean, this is keep the door shut. Don't let Molly, Jay. Don't let Molly in. Pete, are you married?
I'm engaged.
Engaged. Same thing. So yeah, keep the wives, girlfriends out. I mean, this might get graphic tonight.
Oh, so let's get into it. Where are we heading, Eli?
Yes. I was going to start with before I get into the Eagles be our first team because in my opinion, I'll see what these guys think as well. I think the Eagles are going to finish first in this division. I love the addition of Saquon Barkley, some of the draft picks they made. And Jay's not a huge Johnny Wilson guy, but I have an idea for what you could do with him in the future. But we'll get into the Eagles in a second. I was going to say, do you guys have any comments or thoughts on any of the recent, probably within the last week, any of the contracts? The Trevor Lawrence deal, any of the UFL guys getting picked up, anything like that? Comment there. One second. Swifty Short says, "Hello, it's Mr. Lawyer. I changed my name." Well, he's back again. Tag team back again. I'm glad to see you into the NFC East. And by the icon there, I think he's a Cowboys fan, so I think you're going to like some of our Cowboy takes as well. But any thoughts on, or it could even be Brandon Ayuk. The Brandon Ayuk, that's a big headline right now. Like if he's going to be traded, if he's going to play with his existing contract, if they're going to give him $30 million. So any of the above, contracts or the Brandon Ayuk situation. And Jay, you go first if you have any thoughts on any of that stuff.
Well, let Pete going since you totally interrupted him.
Oh, dude, you didn't interrupt anything.
Passing the buck. He's passing the buck.
No, I actually. I'm sure based on what I've heard and seen from you guys, I probably have a little bit of a different take on the Trevor Lawrence contract in that I know for you guys, your thoughts are, definitely an overpay. And unfortunately, we're at the stage.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, we're at the stage in the NFL where, these guys, unfortunately, like, you got to overpay most of them. Now, a guy like Baker Mayfield was kind of slightly damaged goods by the time he went to the Bucs, and then he had a good season. So I think the Bucs got a really team-friendly deal, and he did remarkable things last year. Trevor Lawrence's deal, I saw a statistic the other day, and it brought in adjusted completion percentage, which essentially is just when receivers drop the ball, it's their completion percentage eliminating the drops from their actual receivers. And he was actually at the top of the NFL. I don't think he was number one, but I think he was top 5 in terms of just total completion percentage when removing drops. And I just think that Jaguars team in general, I mean, they had a lot of injuries on the offensive line, and Kirk was out. Calvin Ridley, I mean, there was a whole, I mean, if you're on Twitter, I'm sure you've seen the compilation video of just Calvin Ridley dropping like 6 touchdowns last year that are just in his hands. Yeah. So I mean, I don't hate the deal. I think it's a lot of money for a guy that still hasn't lived up to the enormous expectations that we're giving to him. But yeah, so I it's kind of what I expected for Lawrence. I'm just not really surprised. I wish he would have done a little bit better on the rookie contract, especially given, again, the expectations. But it's not really something that surprises me. But I'd love to hear your guys' take on it as well.
See, this is something we kind of talked about. It was a few episodes back, but we,
Sure.
our thoughts is that, when these QBs actually get, begging for these $60 million contracts, what does it leave for pieces that actually you need for your offense, like a wide receiver or a running back that actually help boost, your roster, just your roster in general, but your stats in general, are they going to be a number, with these high contracts, is a team going to be a top 5, or top 10, or are they going to be a bottom feeder? I mean, that's what it's going to come down to. And then you're going to have to find these low budget wide receivers to come in and try to actually play like, a wide receiver 1.
My thoughts, it kind of ties in a little bit with what Pete and Jay were saying, but if you don't have a top 5 guy that's worth, whatever it is now, I guess 200 million guaranteed, it's kind of the going right now for, I mean, even Trevor Lawrence, who I think is about probably the 15th best quarterback, he's even commanding that kind of money. But in my opinion, if you don't have a top 5, 6 guy, you're better off with a Baker Mayfield, like a reclamation project, a Baker Mayfield, to a lesser extent, a Geno Smith, a reclamation project you can get cheap. And if he does get a second contract with you, or if you sign up to a 1-year deal, or he's got something left on a deal and you give him another contract, like Baker and Geno, you give him a very team-friendly deal. It's like 3-year contract, 2 years guaranteed, maybe somewhere in the 50 to 60 million range, where it's easy to move off these guys. You're not moving off Trevor Lawrence. I mean, 5 years, 275 million. I think 200. Yeah. Let me check my imaginary watch. I think he's got some time left on that contract. So I'd say at least, you're not moving him. And then we see the opposite. We saw what happened with Russell Wilson. I mean, the Broncos had to dump him. I think they're going to get lucky. Not trying to blow my load right away, but I'm liking some bonus so far. But so they might be bailed out with that in a couple of years. But the Broncos are going to be eating a plate of shit the next couple of years with their cap situation. The Browns are screwed. I mean, last year was kind of their chance because Deshaun Watson was still relatively, cap-wise cheap. And now, things are just going to get out of control. I don't think they're going to be able to keep Amari Cooper. So you look at like both ends of it. If you don't have a Mahomes, Josh Allen, that kind of guy, Aaron Rodgers doing his drugs and his retreats and whatever. Even he's on a team-friendly deal. But if you don't have a top 5, top 6 guy, you're better off with a reclamation project, a rookie, or an Aaron Rodgers situation where you got a veteran who's at the end of the line, just is willing to help out the team, give back money. I think that's the best situation for these contracts going forward. And some of the, I was going to say real quick, and then some of the UFL guys, we'll see if these guys pan out. The Lion, I think that Lions kicker, we'll be seeing him fantasy wise. We don't usually talk kickers here, but I think the Panthers kicker was picked up by the Lions, got a 2-year deal. So I mean, he could very well be their starting kicker next year. And so it'll be interesting to see. So it's just cool to have that alternative, because a lot of these guys weren't, even if they make practice squads, I mean, that's a victory for the UFL. Like, hey, this is kind of a stepping stone to the NFL. Like, not every college player is going to go straight to the NFL. So I think that's good for the UFL.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to have kind of like a, they used to have do you remember when they brought like the veteran combine, where they had it for like a couple of years? It was like they were going to do a veteran combine where it was like guys that were pretty much out of the league, like older players could pretty much, it was literally a combine, and then they got rid of it. And I'm sure they won't be bringing that back anytime soon. But yeah, I think that the tough thing with the feeder system and having kind of like a minor league for football is obviously the wear and tear, right? And you're going to put more, like, expecting a guy to play a whole season, right, and then to have him go into the NFL and play a whole 17 game season now is hard to do. But at the same time, it's kind of a weird thing where like their bodies are in shape and they pretty much have like only a little bit of time off, and then they roll right into the NFL season. So, into training camp. But it is nice to see the Broncos actually. I'm trying to look for the name, but I can't find it. But they just signed one of the guys from the feeder system to a 3-year contract, an outside linebacker, which is actually a pretty long deal for one of these guys, and pretty interesting to see. I can't find his name. I was trying to look for it while I had some time before speaking. But yeah,
Pete, why don't you look for that quick and let me comment?
Go for it.
The Broncos are going to need a lot of these kind of contracts. They're going to need a lot of rookies to hit, and a lot of feeder system UFL guys that maybe they can get cheap deals and get lucky. Maybe they're backup linebackers, like second string linebackers for them, or safeties or something. So yeah, the Broncos are going to need a lot of that the next couple of years.
Yeah, it was, by the way,
contract.
It was Dondre Tillman, and he was out of the UFL. They gave him 3 years, $2.83 million, and then only 10,000 on the signing bonus. So it's not much, right? I mean, they could pretty much cut him and have no risk, but still the fact that he got a 3-year deal is still kind of interesting. You would think that these guys signing out of the UFL would probably only get 1 year. I don't even know what the kicker got, or some of the other guys that got signed.
I think he got 2. I think I'm not sure what the kicker.
2-year deal.
Most of the time, you just kind of see these little like 1-year deals with these UFI, these XFL guys, or you don't really see a big contract like that. We'll see little things here and there with them, maybe get an opportunity to go into the NFL and whatnot. I mean, I know a lot of times we end up bashing the spring football stuff. But I mean,
Sure.
it's talent is there wherever you go. I mean, somebody can, you can see a running back back in there. I mean, it's just, look at those pesky ass freaking, Giants. Their backfield's horrible, fucking horrible. And maybe one of these guys could come in and just take over.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to see if you guys had any thoughts. I just had, boom. My brain exploded. I'm wondering if this is going to be a thing going forward, because you're not going to have every one of these guys that's getting these giant 5-year, 200 something, 200 guaranteed, these crazy 4 or 5 year contracts. Not every one of these quarterbacks is going to hit. There's going to be some Russell Wilsons. There's going to be some Deshaun Watsons. I know Trevor Lawrence is from that part of the country, Jacksonville. Although I don't think they're going to win anything with him. Like, they probably love the guy. He grew up around that area. He's a local guy, so it makes sense from that sense. He probably sells a lot of jerseys down there. But if you give the wrong contract, like say Jared Goff falls off the face of the earth, like in a year or two, and the Lions are stuck with all his money, like you're gonna, if you have to dump these contracts, it's nice to have a feeder system, like a legit feeder system, UFL, and have a couple players down there. I mean, AJ McCarron was nothing special in the league, or Adrian Martinez. He's another quarterback. He was, I think, with the Lions, or a third string guy. I remember him in Nebraska. But I mean, I'm just wondering if you guys thought that this might be a way to kind of get around these contracts, because not every one of these monster contracts a guy's going to hit. And I think eventually you're going to have, instead of having like 6 or 7 guys getting paid, you're going to have 20 to 25 quarterbacks getting paid like this, like ridiculous money. So I was wondering, like, in the future, if you guys thought that maybe there's a, if you can't draft them, if you can't only draft so many players, but if you can bring in cheap UFL talent, then some of these guys can play. Like,
I think from a quarterback standpoint, it's hard because I mean, look at Chad Kelly, for example, right? Ex-Bronco.
He was great.
He goes over, yeah, and then the crazy story about him was he had a real shot to be like fight for the starting job for Denver, as they have the whole quarterback carousel and all that shit. And what happened is Von Miller used to do like an annual party every single year. I think it was Halloween. It might have been the Halloween party. And Chad Kelly got so fucked up that he wandered into somebody's house, and they found him like piss drunk, like in their house, and they called the cops. So he got arrested for breaking
isn't that Chad Kelly?
Yeah.
What's up, dude?
So then they cut him. So they cut him, and then he goes off to Canada, and he ended up winning the championship for the CFL over there in Canada. But even he couldn't get a chance to come back over. So I think from a quarterback standpoint, it's hard to expect that even if they play well, maybe guys will get in as like backup quarterbacks. I could see that, but it's going to be these raw talent players who, like, maybe these edge rushers that, like, those are the guys that I could see, like, especially edge rusher, where the teams are just foaming at the mouth for, like, you can never have enough athletic, like, guys off the edge. Like, those are the guys that will have a solid chance, I feel like, to stick on rosters. And then everybody else, like, it'll be a little bit harder to stick. Teams will take shots, but I think they're really going to be looking for like those kinds of players, because teams are always looking for those guys that can come out and edge rusher is a weird position, right? Where they're these athletic guys that don't understand their bodies, and they don't stick because they need to refine their game. Maybe they go to this supplemental league, and then they do show signs of taking that step forward, and then these teams bring them in. But I think if there's one position that will benefit the most from it, it's probably a position like edge rusher, in my opinion. That kicker, though, in the UFL, I mean, he was insane. I mean, I don't even know who the heck he is, but he was able to play really well, and he'll probably end up getting a solid chance to be the starter. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, though. I'm glad they finally found something, and it looks like it's gonna stick. Where the other ones kind of came and gone, and which was kind of unfortunate. But hopefully it becomes something more kind of like you said, Eli.
I was gonna say, you want to know why it's successful? Guess who was involved?
The Rock.
If you smell, yep. Because the Rock's involved. Rock's got the Midas touch. His cheap
Was
meals,
it Vince McMahon?
UFL. I don't like his
Was it
tequila,
Vince
but everything
McMahon
else
in
he
the past?
touches goes straight to the top. So
Yeah, Vince
any thoughts,
McMahon.
Jay?
Vince actually had the early XFL
That's what I
the
thought.
early. Yeah, he had it. That's when all those weird little names and numbers and yeah. So he was that he started. Yeah, if he hate me, it was a big one back in the day. Yes, but yeah. But anyways, I think we should start kind of getting into some previews. I think that's we'll transition into kind of get some of these previews all the way, and because we want to get some takes, from with Pete as long as we got him here. So
sure.
We're getting some hot takes, getting a bunch of goodies here. And we appreciate the comments below too. Yeah, it's I could go. Maybe I'll do a solo stream sometime and just go off on my thoughts on some of these contracts and the UFL and the benefit of it. We mocked it, but I mean, there's lots of good. I think that's going to come out of the next couple of years. Yes. It's time. It's time, boys. It's time. So I'll start off with the Eagles. Sorry, Jay. You see all the Buccaneers stuff in his background, but I know he's a diehard Cowboys fan. He can't wait to sink his teeth into Flournoy and Dak and the return of Zeke, all that good stuff. But that's coming up probably about 15 minutes. So you stay tuned for that.
I do have one question.
Answers I have, but first I must know the question.
I think we said that last week. Isn't there going to be a sausage party too?
Yes, there is actually.
Did you see the first sausage party, Pete?
Oh yeah, of course.
Can't wait. But that's what that quote is from. But so anybody that's followed our streams, or especially last week, we're going to follow kind of the same format. Usually start with the better teams, and then we'll work our way down. So that when I bash the Giants into a submission, you knew it was coming. You stayed late, but we'll get all the goodies. We'll get the two best teams out of the way first. Jay's got his graphic there. So he'll bring up a lot of the stats, and we're like the outcast of the fantasy world. It's like he does his thing, I do my thing. It fits in the pocket. It's real good. So I'll keep my top 5 list, and it's just my opinion. It's to kind of create a little debate. Usually go with who I think who are the 5 best fantasy players, and then I'll have a couple honorable mentions. Like I'll have a couple guys you should look out for. They tend to be rookies or like younger guys that just see what they're going to, because we know what the 6, 7, 8-year veterans are going to do. Like, you got a pretty good idea, especially the journeyman guys or the career backups. Like we want guys that might have a future. So get into those as honorable mentions. So I'll do one at a time. Usually for the bad teams, I'll just go straight through. And Jay, I'll be like, trash them, whatever. But for the good teams, we'll do one by one, and I'll get your guys' thoughts as long as we have Pete. Let's see here. Jalen Hurts. To me, it's a no-brainer. He's where did he finish last year? I think he was either the number 2 or number 3 fantasy quarterback last year in PPR. You can't go wrong with Jalen Hurts. This year, his average, his ADP is like 2, so he's right behind Josh Allen, right in that mix at the top. He's going to give you the rushing yards, obviously, a lot of the rushing touchdowns. I mean, he's projected to have almost 12 this year. So I'll see what your guys' thoughts. I have Jalen Hurts as the number 1 fantasy Eagle.
What?
Any thoughts?
That's
here?
insane. 12 rushing yards? I thought the tush push was out of here.
Never. No. That's why they got Saquon. Yeah. Guys got quads out to here. They're like, Saquon, just push that. We'll get you your 1,000 yards, but the rest of the time you're pushing Jalen.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. I think it's pretty obvious, like you said. Jalen's the guy to own here in terms of if you're going to sit here and talk about who has the best season from a fantasy output standpoint. Jalen's definitely number 1 for me as well. I mean, the rushing upside's there. I don't think we see the same amount of touchdowns with the tush push as we did. When we get into Saquon Barkley, we could definitely dive into my thoughts on that. But I don't know if they're going to put Jalen in harm's way. He played banged up last year. Jason Kelsey was the cog in that wheel for me. He's just Hall of Fame, one of the best centers ever.
Best center,
first
top
ballot
5 center of all
yeah,
time.
First ballot walking in. So I am curious to see how they navigate that. And I don't know who the starting center is. Is it Cam Jurgens? I don't know if they're sliding Jurgens over or who they have. But I think the plan was that Jurgens they drafted, and then eventually he would slide into center. He may go to the guard position, and they may have a different guy slotted for center. But
it is Cam Jurgens, Pete.
It is Jurgens. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and I liked him come out of college, so. I mean, can he replicate what Jason Kelsey was able to do? Probably not, because that's a pretty high bar to fill. But I do think they're going to try to keep Hurts a little healthier, and I think they're going to get a little bit more consistent with actually giving the running back the football. That was the bugaboo with the Eagles last year. Is you'd have DeAndre Swift who would break off a bunch of runs, and they just weren't consistent. They were sloppy, and so I am really excited to see how this offense looks with an upgraded OC. And just an overall infusion of talent with Saquon Barkley back there. So I think Jalen Hurts is the guy to own, though.
Yeah, here's a little fun fact: Saquon's better than DeAndre Swift. So,
well,
just say
I won't fight you on that.
I mean Hurts. Yeah, I mean he's going to be the guy. I mean, yeah. I'm an Eagles hater through and through, but yeah, when it comes to fantasy, if I have an opportunity, I'll take him. I'll take Hurts no matter what. So if no ifs, ands, or buts about it, but I think I'll win. I got you. I got a couple things, but I'll wait till we actually hit the QBs. I got a couple stats somewhere that I actually drew up and whatnot. It's just a comparison of just the AFC guy or NFC guys between all 4 of these guys, but yeah.
Yeah, no problem. So we got our thoughts on Jalen there. Number 2, I don't think it's debatable either. I think once we start getting into the weeds, we start getting into Saquon and Devontae Smith there. It's, that's where the debate starts, I think. But A.J. Brown, receiver 6, no questions there. He's definitely a top 10, no question, universal top 10 fantasy receiver. And there are his projected stats right there from Sleeper. I put the Fantasy Pros projected on the bottom. Jay uses the Sleeper. So it gives you a couple different sources. So, you kind of use your own math there. But yeah, guys, any thoughts on AJ being my number 2?
Jamie, do you want to go first or you want me to go?
Go ahead. That's fine.
Floor is yours.
I love AJ. We actually talked about him on our show today, and I know Jamie was there. But Justin, I'd actually prefer taking AJ this year over Justin Jefferson. And it might feel like a hot take, but yeah.
Yeah. I think it's so bright. I gotta wear shades.
Whoa. I think AJ's in for a big year, man. Kellen Moore, look, he had a rough go when he went to the Chargers. That team was a fucking disaster. I think what he did with the Cowboys, he can replicate here. And I just think AJ, the only caveat I would say is I actually have Saquon ahead of AJ Brown in my rankings. But I don't hate having AJ above him. I just personally, for me, I have Saquon in my top 4 for running backs to own this year. And this is kind of leaking into your next player, but I'm going to talk about him because I have him second. But I think when you look at Christian McCaffrey and how, when Christian McCaffrey played for the Carolina Panthers and it was always kind of just, he was still a great fantasy producer, but he dealt with injuries. He was held back by a team that just wasn't that good. Can Saquon Barkley replicate something similar to Christian McCaffrey? Maybe not Christian McCaffrey-esque, right? Where he's just insane. I mean, that'd be great. But can he move into the best offense of his career with the best offensive line, possibly the best offensive coordinator, and just the best overall talent around him, and be the guy to possibly even finish as RB1 this year? I really don't. I see it as a possibility. Am I saying it's likely? Probably not. I have Breece Hall and Bijan and CMC, all three above him. But I think the problem with the Giants offense is Saquon Barkley just tried to play hero ball, and he was pressing. The offensive line just was so bad. And it's funny, they made all these upgrades this offseason when he's finally gone. But I think Saquon's due for a big year. And I do worry about Jalen's rushing touchdowns eating into his touchdowns at the goal line, because they do have a lot of weapons there between Goddard and AJ and Jalen outside of Saquon. But I do have him as the number 2 guy to own in this offense, but he's not far ahead of AJ at all.
And it real quick, Jay, it is a lot of touchdowns combined. What kind of one of the points he was making about taking touchdowns, Jalen taking touchdowns away from Saquon at the goal line. 23 touchdowns projected between the two of them.
Yeah.
That's
a lot.
This ain't Priest Holmes in like 2003. I mean, this, I can see that kind of. One of those two isn't going to hit that mark, in my opinion. And whether you want to blame it on the push or loss of Jason Kelce or whatever, that doesn't mean that if you want to combine AJ and Saquon, Jay, just for time's sake, I'll do Saquon real quick here. But since they're kind of Pete created that debate there, like who's 2, who's 3. I think Saquon. I think it's gonna be a resurrection. We saw what DeAndre Swift did behind this offensive line last year. I mean, DeAndre Swift. I mean, the guy had what was the most amount of yards he had with the Lions? I know, granted, he had been hurt. He'd been banged up a lot of those years with the Lions, but like, what was his? He never had a 1,000-yard season. I can guarantee you that. I don't even know if he had an 800-yard season with the Lions. Like, he was just a complimentary guy and comes in, last year and then he gets that deal with the Bears. So it's like he made out like a bandit behind that offensive line. So Saquon stays healthy, it could be an all-pro level season. And Mike said, Pete said if there's a chance that he could be RB1. I can see RB3. RB3, absolutely. Breece is going to do his thing, and we know CMC, if he stays healthy, is going to be in the top 2 as well. So I mean, it could be a whole monster year for these running backs for sure, and Saquon being a catalyst.
Yeah, my thoughts on AJ Brown. Kellen Moore kind of coming out. He was with Dallas. I was hoping to see him actually like do something with the Chargers. I was like, dude, this is going to be offense, because I'm sure everybody was hoping like, ooh, fantasy points McGlory right here, man. Just get everybody you can. This is, it's going to be fantasy points. Everybody's going to be just cheering and hopping around like little bunnies. But then now he's with the Eagles, and it's kind of like a slap in the face for Dallas, because Dallas was stupid enough to let him go. They should have just tagged his ass and stayed him there. But I mean, either way, they did. It's not what they really wanted. They wanted a ground and pound or whatever. But I think as much as I hate the Eagles, I really don't want to talk about them. But they have a good offense. There's pieces. There's pieces there. AJ Brown, AJ Brown, he's a diva. But hey, they paid him, and who knows? Sooner or later, it's gonna be unhappy. Talks of he was kind of unhappy or whatever, yada yada. But it is what it is. He's a playmaker for them, so he's gonna get his touches. Barkley on the other hand, I think I know what happened here. The Eagles were tired of him actually just racking up yards against him, touchdowns to get him from them. So they decided, hey, come over here and come just join us. So this was a funny breakdown, because I actually looked at he stays in division. So Barkley actually racked up, so Dallas kind of stopped him from that. They just kind of, over his 10 games playing against Dallas, he only racked up 581 yards and only 3 touchdowns. But when he actually played the Eagles, that's a little different story. He actually racked up 615 some odd yards and 7 touchdowns against them when he actually played him. So they're like, hey, Barkley, come over here. Just stop doing this to us. So that was my thoughts. But my other thoughts is you thought about Swift being there. And I think, and I mean, look at Miles Sanders. I mean, I think this is just what the offense does is they actually hand out good running backs, and when they, like the contract's up, they go somewhere else to try to do the same thing, and they fall on their face. So Miles Sanders was a product of the Eagles. Swift is a product of the Eagles. He's not gonna do shit with the Bears. You know what I mean? Look what Miles Sanders is probably number 3 down there now. So
Miles Sanders gonna be lucky. Miles Sanders gonna be lucky to make the team in Carolina. Let's just be honest. I mean, that's Jonathan Brooks' backfield now. I mean, Miles Sanders is a afterthought, and this guy had almost 1,200 yards in 2022. DeAndre Swift had a career year. Let's do the math. And some of that's Jason Kelce, but it's also the Eagles know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and Saquon Barkley is the best of the bunch. I mean, this guy came in 5, 6 years ago with Hall of Fame level talent. So we all know that. So Saquon for sure. Number 4, Devontae Smith. No questions here in my book. Number 2 receiver, one of the best number 2 receivers in the league, especially fantasy wise. You can see his projection on the bottom there. On Jay has his sleeper. I have the fantasy pros. Somewhere in that 1,050 to maybe 1,100 yard range. 6-7 touchdowns. Another solid Devontae Smith season. Any thoughts on him at number 4?
Yeah, I think that's about right. They really don't have, and I mean, they don't really have a third established receiver that's going to take away targets from him. But I mean, I like Johnny Wilson coming out. He's an athletic guy. I think he's going to take some time to refine his game. So I'm not super worried about him stealing targets. Dallas Goedert's a little bit interesting. I don't think Dallas Goedert has more targets than Devonta Smith. Honestly, Devonta Smith could actually lead this core with targets, and it wouldn't surprise me. And AJ Brown might still end up finishing, and should and will end up finishing higher on his output. But I mean, Devonta Smith's the easy one to go with here at 4, unless John Ross has been in the lab.
That's another random guy.
Yeah, I mean,
Paris Campbell, Pete. Paris Campbell is technically number 3 on their depth chart right now. That's a joke.
Which is kind of sad because I liked Paris Campbell when he was in Indianapolis, but I don't know
how many years ago was that
with the Giants.
You see that stuff with the Giants last year?
Only 2. Hey, listen, it's kind of like Dalvin Cook when he went to the Jets. I mean, granted, much more well-established and better player, but New York just is career killers these last few years for many guys. So, but I digress.
Devontae Smith is the guy you want in this offense. And Johnny Wilson, I already made my statement. He's a basketball player, just head to the NBA, and that's all I'm going to say about that. I mean, we did cover him in the spotlights, and I'll put that up in the corner over there. So I mean, if you guys want to go back and check that out, I'll take that when this is all done and wrapped up. So we did a spotlight on Johnny Wilson and our overall thoughts on him.
Can they convert Johnny Wilson possibly to tight end? Go
watch that damn spotlight. Any of you tuning in, go watch that damn spotlight after the stream. I said it. Pete said it. Smart man.
I mean,
not all the brain power is in the Midwest here. It's out east too. Damn it! I told that blue bastard there. I told him up there. I said, Jamie, I'm like, dude, convert him to tight end. Yes, Dallas Goedert. Okay, the Eagles, they get the same damn tight end every 5 years, right? It was Brent Selleck back in the day, and then it was Zach Ertz until he was, now he's on the scrap heap. Dallas Goedert, they're kind of, Chad Lewis, if you're an old Eagles fan. I mean, they had these guys for like 5 years, have some decent production, maybe a Pro Bowl or something, and then they move off them, which is what you should do. That's if you're not a Travis Kelce level guy, move off him. So I wouldn't be shocked. He's 6'6". He's got, Jay say he's a basketball player pretty much. He's got the goods. You put on 10, 15 pounds, this guy could be a tight end. I think he'd be one of the better tight ends in the league if they convert him. If he's a wide receiver, he's dead in the water unless he's going to catch jump balls or something. and be a poor man's Plaxico Burress. I don't know. Like, I think tight end, yes.
Pro Football Focus has him listed at 6'7", but some places have him at 6'6". I'll probably say he's probably 6'6", and they're just giving him an extra inch. But 237, and honestly, his run blocking grade was not that bad for a receiver in college. I mean, in terms of Pro Football Focus, he was his grade was a 73.9, which for receivers that's actually pretty decent. And in terms of his career, I mean, like 2021, he had 92 run blocking snaps. He graded out as a 90.4, which, you know, he's probably a young pup who was just trying to, you know, break into the roster and get more snaps. So he's probably more motivated at the time. But in 2023, 75.8 on 230 run blocking snaps, which was the most in his career. That's pretty damn good for a receiver. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's probably a project that they probably in their heads know, hey, if he doesn't refine his route running, we could, you know, look at moving him into the tight end spot. It really wouldn't surprise me.
Man with common sense here. I love it. Jay, what we got for running backs here? You got one of my honorable mentions right there, Mr. Will Shipley from Clemson.
I was just going to say quick here. Backs? Hold on. I was going to say in their tight end room, they have Albert from from Denver. They got CJ Uzama from the Jets. They actually got there's a couple other guys in there, but so it's just kind of like, what? They're getting these kind of some of these washed up guys that, well, I mean, we all thought Albert was going to be something in Denver. That didn't happen.
He can't block. That's his problem. He can't block.
He's too fat to be a receiver and he can't block. Get out of here.
Can't block.
So, okay, real quick here. It's, you know, I was just trying to look at this, you know, running back room, and I'm just like, I mean, it looks disgusting. I mean, but Barkley, you know, at first I was going to rip, you know, Will, because I'm like, dude, this guy is just a kind of kitty totter guy. I'm like, yeah, we didn't really cover him, so I was going to rip him. Like, so So I actually, before we started, I was looking at highlights, just kind of get an idea of how he runs and whatnot. So I quite honestly, he's kind of almost similar to Barkley a little bit. I mean, he's a ripper, but I mean, he doesn't have that quite of that top end speed, you know, to kind of actually get her done. Yeah. But I mean, he's kind of like a one cut and go kind of guy. And that's from what I was seeing. I mean, he'll take on some contact here and there, which is not bad. Most of us, you know, like kind of like some of that. But I mean, he's a little bit smaller, not like a Ray Davis or anything like that, you know, but I mean, just kind of a ripper from what I was seeing. It's like, well, the year before he had over 1,000 some yards, and I don't know if he had an injury or something to actually have like only 800 some odd yards just this following year before he got drafted. So I wasn't quite sure if he had an injury that kind of held him back, or if they had somebody else taking over the lead role for him to maybe not see 1,000 some odd yards, or they actually just had more wide receivers to toss the ball to.
Yeah, I think Will Shipley's gonna make his money as a receiving back for them. You know, just a change of pace guy. Saquon's gonna probably own this backfield. You know, let me ask you: is Boston Scott still on this roster?
I didn't see it. Either. Yeah, I didn't see him, so I think they might have cut him then.
The Giants killer. They'll re-sign him when they play the Giants.
Pick his brain. But Eagles and some other better teams do this too. It's like, okay, we have our established guy, but the, you know, kind of the backup or the next in line, because Gainwell was technically, you know, the Swift's backup last year, if you want to call him that. Okay, so then they bump him down. So now Will Shipley's the backup to Saquon, and I think it's just kind of, you know, these guys are interchangeable, like Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell at this point. The kid from the 49ers that was cut a couple of years ago, I think he was a third-round pick, that price. I don't know if he's worth his salt or anything, but I didn't see anybody else in the room.
I guess my
very mediocre. But Jay, I was gonna say, I agree with you. It's a very mediocre running back, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Barkley's got. He's gonna have it all. I mean, he's gonna be the guy to running pretty much pretty much all the receiving yards and pretty much the carries. You know, so I mean, these guys are just gonna be fillers. Maybe give him a break here and there, but that's overall Will Shipley. I mean, most of us drafted him in Dynasty already. So I mean, some of these guys. I mean, I'm sure redrafts. I think, you know, if it did, you know, I think what we say, he's kind of like, you know, kind of like are we kind of chaining him to Barkley in case Barkley gets like
it's like a
injury?
handcuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, Barkley hasn't stayed healthy, so I mean, like, if you're into that kind of thing and you have a deep enough bench, like Shipley's a decent dart throw just to have there. Um, my thing is I don't usually like to handcuff my own running backs in fantasy because it just kind of limits your upside. I'd rather go get somebody else's handcuff because then when their guy goes down and you have the handcuff, then you have two starting backs instead of just, you know, sitting there in case your guy gets hurt, then you have a trade piece and you have a starting running back. But yeah, Shipley will probably, I'm sure Saquon won't, as much as I'm super high on him, he's good to miss a game or two. So Shipley would probably be the guy. And Tyron Davis Price, I mean, what a flame out for him. I mean, can he be the second back? I mean, he profiles probably.
Hell no.
I'm saying he profiles more like a 3-down back, like, style wise, but he does stink. So I don't know.
He couldn't beat out Jeff Wilson or Elijah Mitchell. You know what I mean? He got no chance here.
I know he stinks.
Yeah, I was just kind of debating if I should put him on here or not. I'm just like, well, I mean, it's kind of like when we get to the Giants, I'm gonna be ripping them too. So, but
they have a lot of Tyron Prices or Davis Prices, man. But yeah, no, I agree. And I was gonna make this point about because Saquon's got an injury history. We know he's gonna miss a couple games. Yeah. So if you get Will Shipley's gonna be cheap. I mean, he was with the bigger program, obviously Clemson, but they're not where they were when Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson were there. So they kind of, he kind of almost came in a little underrated. And let's be honest, he's a white running back. So, I mean, he kind of came in like off the grid a little bit, not Blake Corum, not Jonathan Brooks, one of those guys. But I like, the Kenny Pickett edition. I don't like Kenny Pickett starting 17 games. But if Kenny Pickett needs to come in for a couple, if Jalen's banged up in a couple of meaningless, if they're 9-3 and he has to miss a week or two, a couple meaningless games, like Kenny Pickett could come in with this offense too. So there's a couple guys that are, backups that, fantasy wise, if you stash them away in Dynasty or you get your hands on them, Kenny Pickett, Will Shipley, even Kenneth Gainwell, I like those a lot. What you guys? I was gonna say quick. You guys have any thoughts on Aeneas Smith, the fifth rounder from Texas A&M?
Yeah, I'm just gonna come back to that quick. That's why I was coming back. I actually had to take a look quick. I mean, it's funny because he was the fifth rounder. Right now he's like 41% rostered. I guess Dynasty. I don't know. I was trying to figure that out. I'm like he must be something in this because you got Paris Campbell and some other guys and Johnny Wilson and stuff like that. And I actually had to take a look at him because he didn't really have a whole lot of yards in college. I mean, he had some good plays here and there. It was nothing really like eye-popping. He didn't have 1,000 yards. He didn't have 900 yards receiving. He had a mediocre, I think he's just kind of more of a kind of like your three guy with 400 some odd yards, kind of maybe a stringer for a deep league guy, 16, 15 or 14 or 15, not 15, 16, my bad. So I think he's one of those guys, but he's got some bursts there a little bit here and there, but I think I think he'll be a specialist because he actually did some rippers for, some punt returns or kick returns. He's, pretty much, hit home runs there. But yeah, I think he'd either be a 3 or 4, maybe in this offense a little bit. I mean, if once, we don't know how Paris Campbell is going to kind of fit into this or, so he might get a little playing time, but I think he's better than John Ross.
Yeah. You think?
Yeah, I don't have a ton of opinion on him. I mean, from what I've read and from what I've seen, I mean, he's got good yards after catch ability. He's kind of like a jitterbug. From what I've seen, the comps are like Rondell Moore, Sky Moore, if you're into that kind of thing. And like Charlie Jones. But so I mean, he's definitely he's kind of a guy. I mean, he ran his 40 was a 4.48, which is in the 59th percentile, which isn't that fast, but it's still pretty fast. And he's got like some nice twitch ability. Not a big body guy, but it seems like he could be a decent stash, kind of like you said, Jamie. If you're in like 14 or 16, it's funny sometimes when you talk about some of these guys that are speculative, people laugh because they're like, who gives a shit about Anais Smith in fantasy, right? Like, what could he do? But not everybody's playing in a 12-man league. Some people are in 14-man. Some people are in 16. Like, they need those deep sleepers, and
Yes.
Anais Smith could be a guy that, hey, if you have special teams points, right? Like if you get points for touchdowns on special teams, maybe he's a guy that can score on special teams with the new kickoff rules, or maybe he's a guy that can fill in if a Devonta Smith gets hurt or if there is an injury. Like, I'm not saying he's going to be amazing for fantasy, but what I am saying is, like, these are the kinds of dart throws, and I'm not going to hate on a guy who was drafted to one of the best offenses in the league. If you're in a 14-16 man league, like, those are the kinds of guys you target with that upside, and those really good athletes, and he profiles as one of them. So
yeah, and that's why we bring it up, because we actually have a 16 man league, and that's why we kind of bring up stuff like that, because I'm like, hey, and the other thing about a deeper league too is you get accustomed to names like Ananias Smith, so you're like, oh, hey, that guy's on the waiver wire, I mean, maybe he's maybe Wilson gets hurt, and he's on the waiver wire, and you're for like a 12-man league, and he's kind of popping, he's getting the targets, he's kind of for a small league, maybe a little, maybe a streamer that week or whatever, and quick add and dump. But I mean, for deeper leagues, this is kind of a guy you want to put out there for those kind of leagues.
Yeah. And they're we don't have a big $20 magazine at the grocery store. Our 2024 preview, ours is on the internet with graphics and all this good stuff. But yeah, I mean, this is your emergency bag right here. Guys like this are in, I can see him being the Eagles' number 4 receiver. Nothing wrong with that. You got a top 5 fantasy quarterback like Jalen. I mean, you see how many 3 receiver sets they do. I know it's kind of not the typical, because they do a bunch of weird, the tush push, obviously being the top, and what they're going to do with Saquon and stuff. But, they're going to throw the ball a lot. And, AJ is going to get his, and Devontae is going to get his. But beyond that, Paris Campbell does nothing for me. Johnny Wilson has a really good chance to be a bust as a receiver. So a guy like this that's twitchy, there's nothing wrong with Rondale Moore. I'd take Rondale Moore as my number 4 receiver any day of the week. Guys like that, they'll find a role, and there'll be a couple games where this guy pops. And they're going to think it's Devontae's, little brother. Oh, the other Smith, but he'll have like a 4-catch, 81-yard touchdown game out of nowhere. And wow, hey, I stashed him. Hey, dynasty or whatever, 20-man league that I'm in. And you're going to look like a genius. So we call it the emergency bag. Other people call it the preview, and they sell it. We call it the emergency bag. You got to get going there, Pete, or you got.
I can stay for the Cowboys.
Okay, so we'll get the good teams.
More.
Get the good teams out of the way here. Yeah. Yes. There we go. All right. Team number 2, and we want to thank everybody's tuned in so far. You got some good stuff there. Mr. Supernova himself. J Dog up top. I mean, we got a great 3-man weave tonight. Dish to the Eagles, doing the Cowboys now. Look at that old 60s little graphic, the little pony and the cowboy. Giddy up. He's riding along, and so is CD Lamb. CD Lamb. Numero uno. It's not Tyreek Hill. It's not JJ. It ain't Chase. It ain't AJ Brown. It ain't any of these guys. No. Numero uno. Draft position for receivers for 2024 as well as 2023, where he was the number 1 fantasy. Go. Going on, baby. Go. So it's your birthday. It's CeeDee Lamb's birthday. What do you got about CeeDee Lamb? Jay, I know your thoughts, but especially Pete, what are your thoughts on CeeDee Lamb being my number 1?
I mean, hard to argue, right? I mean, this is an easy one that doesn't even need much time to even be spent talking about it. So I do best ball drafts. I don't know if you guys are into that at all, and if you guys do,
I do a little bit. I do some.
I'm down to do one. Yeah, you guys invite me. I'll do one.
Hey, more than welcome to. We'll get you in when we do them. But it's pretty much. I mean, look, like you scratch that itch, right? Like you don't got to set the lineups, right? You kind of just draft. It takes your best score every week, right? And that's your lineup. But in all the drafts that I'm in, that I've gotten, the first pick or the second pick, it's usually either CMC or CeeDee Lamb for me. And I've taken CeeDee Lamb over CMC a good couple of times. Yeah, I mean, look, CeeDee Lamb, they don't really have much competition. I'm high on Jake Ferguson this year just because of that. But CeeDee Lamb just broke out last year, man. He's the guy that everybody in that draft class, outside of Justin Jefferson, but you had Denver taking Jerry Jeudy, you had the Raiders going with Henry Ruggs, like, everybody missed, and Dallas ended up with one of the best, right? Justin Jefferson is there as well, right? But it just he had such a great year last year. It's hard to see him slowing down. He stayed relatively healthy too. Like, I mean, he's never hurt. So yeah, CeeDee Lamb at 1 is my favorite. He's got the quarterback with Dak, and Dak's going into a contract year. He's going to be trying to feed his guy. And CeeDee Lamb is due for another monster season, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah, well, before we actually started these previews, we'd actually did a little hot take before we actually started, and I brought up the Cowboys real quick because I mean we were talking about contracts. I mean, do we pay CeeDee Lamb? Do we pay Micah? Or do we pay Dak? So I mean, we have 3 main guys that we have to try to either one guy's gonna get cut, one guy's gonna get the cut. So it's either we pay 2 guys, cut 1. So I mean, we're in that predicament of who in the hell do we give the money to?
It's like Jay. It's like the little marble in the little Dixie cups, and you're like, "What's coming? Who are we paying here?" But I'll let you combine them because since they're joined at the hip at this point. Combined just for time's sake. Dak, I had Dak's like a universal top 10 fantasy quarterback. Some years, he'll be number 3. Some years he'll be number 12. But on average, I like that he's quarterback 9 for 2024. If I have that, he was number 3 last year in PPR and standard. So like Dak's going to put up his numbers. Should be. I know they have him projected somewhere around 30 touchdowns, but I'd lean closer to 35, especially with CD and Jake Ferguson. So we can almost combine. Even Jake Ferguson, work him in too, because I think those are the 3 ones that there's no debate on. I mean, Jake Ferguson has morphed into a top 10 fantasy tight end. He's better than Dalton Schultz at this point. So that was a good, that was good moving off Schultz a couple years ago, and he's with the Texans now. And before him, obviously back in the day, if you're an old Cowboys fan, Jason Witten, guys like that. But maybe we can combine. Yeah, your thoughts on CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, and Jake Ferguson, kind of the new big 3 for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I love Dak Prescott for fantasy at his cost. I think, the fantasy community, and I totally understand it. Everyone's enamored by the rushing upside for quarterbacks, and that's who they want to take. But, Dak Prescott showed last year, I mean, finishing it, 4th for fantasy points per game. And I think he was the 3rd quarterback overall, like you said, Eli. And that's really without having that rushing upside, right? So I like Dak Prescott. I think he's being drafted at his floor. I think the worst he'll do is 9th. It was funny. Last year I drafted, I do an auction draft. And so we actually do a little bit of, it's a home league that I do. And essentially what it is it's 5 rounds of an auction, and then it resets and we do serpentine the rest of the way. And it is just a chaotic, like, wheeling and dealing. Trades are happening through it's just chaos, right? And so guys go really cheap, and so I ended up taking Jalen Hurts at a really good price, and then Dak Prescott got nominated later on in the auction, and he was going. Nobody wants to spend money on quarterbacks in these auctions half the time, right? And they want to wait until the serpentine. They want to get their big receivers, their running backs. So I ended up getting Dak for like really cheap. I'd give you the number, but it doesn't really matter. It's not it's hard to even say what it's relative or not. But and then I had Jalen, I had Dak for the year. The problem with Dak Prescott that I hate is nobody ever wanted to trade for him. Nobody wanted him from me. I had him and Jalen. I could have used an upgrade somewhere else, but nobody wanted to give me anything good because it's the name Dak Prescott, and for some reason people just shy away from that. But yeah, so yeah, but to make a long story short, I do like Dak. I think he's being drafted at his floor this year, and I like Jake Ferguson a lot. I think he has top 5 potential to finish in fantasy this season. He was number 1 in red zone targets last year out of all tight ends in fantasy football. He had 13 catches in the red zone, and he had 25 total targets, I believe. So I'm high on Ferguson. I liked your point about Dalton Schultz. I think they upgraded there and they didn't have to pay out, which the Cowboys can use some cap savings.
It's who they're trying to pay.
Yeah. And then the Brandon Cooks thing is a weird thing, right? I mean, like, he's Mr. Consistent, he's Mr. Reliable. Do I want him in fantasy? Probably not. If I'm doing a best ball stack where I don't have to worry about starting him and he could just be on my team, and if he produces high enough, he'll be in my starting lineup, then I like Cooks. But my eyes on Jalen Tolbert actually on this team. I'm starting to warm up to him a little bit at his cost, and he's pretty practically free at the end of the drafts. And then at the end of your list, I do like having Zeke there as well. I think he's going to have a pretty underrated year because the Cowboys missed Zeke at the goal line last year. I think Tony Pollard had the most rushing attempts at the goal line of all running backs in fantasy last year, and he did like nothing with it. So I like your list. I probably would swap Cooks with Elliott if I had to give my opinion on that as well.
That was a good debate before Jay gets in. That's something I did think about, like Cooks and Zeke. Because, I mean, Zeke had an underrated year with the Patriots last year. He really did. And I had to use him. He was on one of the dynasty teams that we do, and I needed Zeke. I mean, I had injuries, and Zeke, he produced a little bit. So I think there's goal line, and he's underrated in the passing game too. Like Zeke can catch, he can catch passes out of the backfield. He's never credited for that. But and Dak's, in Dak's defense, like he's mobile. I mean, he could get you, a couple hundred yards rushing if he wanted to, 200-300 yards, maybe a couple touchdowns. So, I mean, and you combine the passing yards, he's got the potential like Dak does. I mean, he did last year, finished number 3. He's got the potential to get up there in the Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts category. Like he gets the production from, Jalen Tolbert takes the next step and becomes a really good number 3. And you get Brandon Cooks to, I know he's older now, but just keep doing the Brandon Cooks kind of typical year, 700 yards, 5-6 touchdowns. And then get, obviously CD going off, doing his all-pro stuff. Jake Ferguson maybe, vaulting up into the top 5. Like Dak could be not only MVP of the league, but he could also be, one in the top 2 for fantasy as well. Like puts up another, maybe a 4,500 yard passing season, 35 to 38 touchdowns. Like I would put him right in that mix. With all the rushing that Josh Allen and Jalen do. So yeah, Dak, I think you're getting a hell of a deal at number 9. Like if you're taking him.
Yeah. Yeah. As I would say to Dak.
Congrats. Here's your Oakleys.
It's for me. I mean, I hate Dak, but I love Dak at the same time. I mean, fantasy wise, great. When I watch him football wise, some days I just want to take it back to him because he does some stupid shit that it's just like every Cowboy fan is like, God, I just want to hate you right now. But
kind of reminds me of the last guy you had, the guy before him, that damn guy in CBS.
I'd rather have Tony Romo than Dak right now. But yeah,
ooh.
But that's
I don't know. I guess my question to you, I'd push back though. What did Tony Romo do in the playoffs?
Yeah, yes, I know. I mean, that's our stick right now. I mean, we have. I mean, Romo is kind of he got us there, but we didn't win a playoff. Dak, same thing. We got got us there, but we didn't win a fucking playoff. So it's just like we get to that point where it's just like, do we call Dak elite? I mean, he got us to that goddamn playoff, but did he win one? No. It's always that little. It's like we get there, then it's just like, no, we don't want to win a Super Bowl. We just end up just going back the other way. So it's just kind of like, and overall, I mean, Tony Romo was more of a I think he was undrafted, came in and pretty much was doing the same thing of what Dak was doing. So I mean,
I'm telling you, Jay, if the Cowboys moved off of Dak, there would be a lineup of, I mean, off the top of my head, Raiders, Giants. I mean, there'd be at least 5 teams that would back the Brinks truck up and get him. So I know he's in that weird spot. He hasn't won a Super Bowl or NFC title game or anything, but I mean, there's a lot of teams that would love his services.
How many quarterbacks have won a Super Bowl that are in the league right now? Rodgers, Mahomes, and Stafford. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Three.
It is.
Flacco. Because he's not delivering. He's not picking up his kids from school. Well, I guess Joe Flacco's for.
Hey, comeback player of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the things that I mean, look at a guy like him who didn't play for a while, and then he just gets on the Browns and just starts chucking bombs. At first, I was like, I hate Flacco. I'm like, no, why would I want to pick him up? But I mean, if he's producing for fancy reasons, well, hell, why not? But I know it's one of those things. Jake Ferguson, yeah, I love him. What do you got?
I was gonna say, and you don't have to worry about. I know he had that one injury year, but he was leading the league in passing. I forget what year that was, if it was 2020 or 2021. But Dak was like he was gonna run away with the MVP that year, and then he got hurt, and then so I mean, like you're not gonna have like Jalen Hurts. There's a question like, hey, a couple games, is he gonna miss? Is Lamar Jackson, a couple games, is he gonna miss? So you got to have a competent backup. Like Dallas doesn't have to worry about that. Dak's going to be, you can almost book it in 16, 17 games every year.
Yeah.
Kind of like Stafford.
And that's the question. But then it's like, if we got him as, our QB, why in the hell did we trade for Trey Lance for? Why? I mean, it was stupid. I mean, we had one of the other guys that was
Jerry was flexing.
Really confidence of having another guy that we had to, for his backup that was totally competent. I came in and actually did something with it, with Dak missing some of that time either way. But oh well, it is what it is. Brandon Cooks, I don't mind him as the 2 here. I know we kind of talked about Jalen Tolbert. I was kind of in mix of Jalen Tolbert or Fournette. I mean, 2 smaller guys. I actually got Tolbert in a couple of our dynasty leagues because I was kind of mentioning him too last year. Like, hey, watch out for Tolbert. There's a good opportunity for him to actually kind of maybe be the 3, get a little sparks here and there. The other thing too was because Gallup was there too, so Gallup was kind of taking some of that time away from Tolbert to possibly get more time with Dak and actually kind of produce a little bit in the 3 role.
Did the Raiders sign Michael? Who the hell signed Michael Gallup?
Yeah. The Raiders, yeah.
Of course, it's the Raiders. Of course, overrated. He had a great receiver name like Gallup. You're thinking Cowboys. You're thinking, all that kind of stuff. This guy was the most overrated receiver in the league the last couple of years. Michael Gallup did nothing.
They prefer Michael Gallup over, and they play different positions pretty much. But Hunter Renfrow couldn't really sniff the ball last year. But after they gave him that contract, but they really wanted to bring in Michael Gallup. I don't really understand.
It's a what? That's a damn what?
I don't get it.
Yeah. So I was thinking maybe Tolbert. Like when it comes to training camp, I think Tolbert and Fournette will actually kind of be fighting maybe for the wide 3 and 4 spots for the wide receivers.
Fournette, he's interesting. Jay Fournette is the 6th round kid, I think from that small school in Missouri. Yeah, he's interesting. He would be like an honorable mention. Him and then I like Rico Dowdle. I think Rico Dowdle, he's a nice, not a feature guy, but a nice change of pace to Zeke. Dowdle did some nice stuff last year.
Yeah, I think our backfield too is a little wishy-washy too. I mean, we don't really have like a true number 2. I mean, we had Pollard there, and then we had Rico or Davis kind of jumping in there here and there. I mean, Dowdle is, change of pace kind of guy, but we didn't have like a home run hitter that was gonna just take it to the yard. Deuce Vaughn, Deuce Vaughn. Yeah, Deuce Vaughn's kind of in that similar boat. I mean, he's here and there, too small. I mean, he's speed, but I mean, the games I did see, he really didn't. I mean, he got some nice small chunk yards, but nothing impressive. I mean, he's kind of one of those running backs that's kind of more of an open field kind of guy. You're not going to use him at the goal line. Maybe third down, he can get you 15, 20 yards for a first down or something like that. That's all Vaughn is good for.
Yeah, I think, and these are based on sleepers projections, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because Cowboys had 468 rushing attempts last year. Obviously, it's a weaker room, and that's partially why I like Ferguson and the pass catchers, because this is a weak running back room. I think Dowdle and Zeke probably both have a little bit more. I think Zeke will be closer to 200, and I think Dowdle will be probably more around that 150 range. I actually put Dowdle in front of Cooks in terms of a guy I'd like to own. I only say that because of the potential upside. I think Zeke is the guy to own in this backfield, but Dowdle showed flashes last year. Not that he's a workhorse, but he showed flashes that he has a chance to be better than Zeke this year. And if he is if he does take over the lead back role, Zeke could be relegated to like a third down back, which is fine. It's not a third down back and a goal line guy. I mean, last year Zeke had 51 catches on the Patriots. So he's a good pass blocker. He could be the third down guy, and Dowdle might end up being the guy that actually ends up out touching him in terms of rushing attempts. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'd rather take my shot on that upside that he might lead this room in terms of attempts over a guy like Cooks, who I just don't know what I'm getting with Cooks right now. But I do like Rico Dowdle, and in terms of Deuce Vaughn, I think his father must have paid off Jerry Jones to get him to. I don't know what he's doing on this team.
I got I got 2 words for you. Birmingham Stallions. Deuce Vaughn could be a starting running back for the Stallions. Their guy's probably going to get signed. So nice landing spot for him.
Maybe special teams, but I don't know.
My quick thoughts is, I mean, I love Brandon Cooks when he was with the Beavs. I watched him play in college, and I thought, and back in the day, I'm like, Dallas, you guys need to draft this guy.
He did. He ain't lying. I remember him saying this. He's
I did.
God. I mean, he's been the town whore. I mean, he's been riding the carousel here. He went to the Rams, Patriots, Saints, Cowboys, Texans. Probably some other teams I'm missing.
But yeah, it's one of those things. I wish we had Cooks in his younger early state than his older state. But yeah, I mean, he's pretty much a possession guy. I mean, he'll get us some yards here and there, but I mean, he's not what he used to be. So that's why I'm thinking, if Tolbert and Flornay actually kind of produce, I think Cooks might be playing more slot possibly. I wasn't sure where he lined up in the offense there, but if he was more in the slot, I think Tolbert and
Flornay, some value there. I think he'd be good in the slot.
Yeah, Flornay and Tolbert should be good on the outside there. So I mean that might boost some of their value a little bit too as well.
Yeah, Cooks played 259 snaps in the slot last year, and then 550 out wide. But yeah, I mean, Cooks is just going to be a good NFL receiver. Like he's not going to be a guy I'm like dying to get. I'll stack him in best ball as a cheap guy to tag if he'll have like a big game where, Cooks had I think he had a couple games last year where he had like multiple touchdowns or something to that effect, right?
Yeah.
So, he'll be nice, but he's not a guy I trust a weekly start. But, I think people are so addicted to fantasy football. I'm one of them. And like we throw so much
you guys are kindred spirits.
We throw so much shade at guys and try to say that they're not good because they're not good for fantasy. But like Brandon Cooks is a good NFL wide receiver. And even if he's not the young Brandon Cooks, like if he's healthy, like he's still a guy that's going to move the chains. He kind of reminds me of like a Brandon Stokely, right? At this point in his career where you really can rely on him. Like when Stokely came over to the Broncos and obviously he had the relationship with Manning, but like he was a guy that like you knew you could rely on him to move the chains. Now we didn't have CeeDee Lamb on our team, but still he's a guy that, he'll come up. He's reliable. He's got good hands. And that's it. But like, he's still got juice and can be a decent contributor for them. And now if Jalen Tolbert or even Flournoy, I'm more higher on Tolbert. If one of those guys can like actually become a legitimate wide receiver and Cooks is relegated to the 3, like he's probably one of the better, wide receiver 3s in the NFL, in my opinion, if it came down to that. So I like Brandon Cooks. I think he's still got a 2 or 3 decent years left. He's only 30. So
I think we just think he's a lot older because he's been with so many damn teams.
So long. Yeah. Feels like
he's been in. All right, I'll just close this out, guys. Do you have any other hidden gems, maybe? Any Hendershot? I mean, is there a second tight end that gets involved at all, or is there another running back? I guess we have all the list here, but is there anybody else we're not thinking of from the Cowboys that might be a deep sleeper, like put you to sleep sleeper?
Maybe Schumacher, right? Like he's there. I mean, maybe if Ferguson gets hurt, like he's a guy that could maybe step up. He was the rookie they drafted last year, but outside of that, I don't think there's anybody else.
All right.
I don't know if you could think of any.
I don't see, but yeah, I mean, we got everything.
No, I think I have I have one of the other guys on my taxi squad right now, and I think that was Hendershot. Yeah, but I'm almost thinking about dumping him because I think it's Schoonmaker that's kind of the second, and I think
Schoonmaker is the number 2.
Yeah, but I think Hendershot's
lucky to make the team.
Yeah. So I'm thinking I might end up dumping him here probably pretty soon because I was kind of debating. So, but yeah, those are Ferguson's the guy you want. Shoemaker, I mean, he'll probably get a little bit here and there, but I mean, other than that, probably when they get closer to the goal line here and there, he might snag a touchdown or 2. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I think that kind of wraps up everything. I mean, the other thing too, quick, was that Flournoy only actually played 2 years in college, and it was a smaller school. 1,823 some odd yards and 13 tutties. And Tolbert came from a small school too, and I think he had just a little bit more than him. But and these are the things that we were talking about earlier too, with when it comes to paying these quarterbacks, finding a little guy that's underpaid to come in and maximize what he can get. And the Flournoy and Tolbert are guys like that coming from smaller schools to play in the big time.
Or a guy to push Jalen Tolbert, be like, hey, bud, you saw what we did. You saw what we did to your buddy Michael Gallup. That's gonna be you next year, and we're gonna put this kid in there if you don't step it up and become our
what?
Crazy. But yeah, I think I'm sure Pete has to run. We're gonna. So yeah, it's got the good half.
You got the good half of the stream. Go away now. There's nothing left to see.
Nah, you guys do a good job here. Keep up the good work. I think you guys got some good banter. You guys got some good back and forth. I love the graphics and I love the insight. Like I said, you guys do a good job at just kind of digging in and not being more surface level with your takes. So yeah, maybe we'll jump on again sometime soon. It was fun. It was fun tuning in. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, we got more previews to go. So I mean, we have at least another 6 more divisions to hit. So
well, you're saying there's a chance, Pete.
Well, I am going on vacation first week of July, but maybe we could set something up after that where I come back.
Yeah, anytime. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to. So, but anyways, yeah, we like to thank Pete for joining us from Face Off, and if you guys haven't, he's on Twitter X, or however you want to call it nowadays. But Pete Supernova, his name's actually kind of covered up from Eli's tags over there. But yes, but yeah, Pete, we appreciate your time, and yeah, it was great. So
yeah, appreciate it, fellas. I'll catch you guys, and I'll be tuning in.
All right, awesome. Thanks,
Pete. Have a good night. Thanks, man.
All right, guys.
Well, anyways, now it's a 2-man show, and we're back to having a 2-man show. What do we do now? What do we do now?
Two-man show, 2 teams left to go.
well,
but okay, I do like the Commanders a lot more. I like their, some of the guys they picked up. some of the rookies they drafted. So to me, they have a much brighter future than the Giants. Let's just be honest. I mean, Giants are in the toilet. I'll get to them in a second. And there we go. You got the graphics. So we got the X going on. We got some views going on. If everybody, is stuck around, big ticket Pete, he stepped out, but you're in for a treat, especially if you didn't know what happened to Austin Eckler. He signed with the Commanders. Where Jaden Daniels get drafted? With the Commanders. So this team's kind of been under the radar, but I've liked some of the stuff they've been doing. I think they've got ways to go to compete with the Eagles and the Cowboys. But number one, you know what? I'll put Terry McLaurin. I call him. He's boring to me, but I call him Mr. Reliable. You know how we were talking last segment about Brandon Cooks. How you at this point you kind of know what to expect from Brandon Cooks. It's not going to be anything like crazy fantasy wise or Pro Bowl or anything like that. But I mean, just solid number 2, number 3 receiver. Terry McLaurin, they could definitely use an upgrade at number 1. Like he's not quite a number, in my opinion, he's not quite a receiver 1. But I mean, he'd be, if he was with a better team, like if he was with the Chiefs or something, he'd be their number 1. So there's other teams where he could be a number 1. But I don't know. I'd like him more as a number 2. I'd like, an even better player than him as your 1, and then have McLaurin as your 2, and have those 2 starters. I mean, it'd be lethal. Like if he was with Dallas, Terry McLaurin with CeeDee Lamb. But yeah, I mean, he does. What? He does his thing, Jay. I'll see what your thoughts are. Him being my number 1. This is the second team in a row that the receiver's been number 1. Jalen was number 1 for the Eagles, but McLaurin, he'll do his 1,000 yards, 80 catches, 4 or 5 touchdowns. He just he's Mr. Consistent. Like you know what you're getting with Terry McLaurin. Doesn't really get hurt. Doesn't do anything really spectacular or anything, but he's been doing this since he came in from Ohio State. Like he's been, in my opinion, Mr. Consistent.
Can we actually call him like Mike Evans? Like, can we just say he's he kind of I don't want to call him a poor man because Terry McLaurin's a pretty damn good receiver. I don't want to call him a poor man's Mike Evans, but he's like Washington's version of Mike Evans. Yeah, Mike Evans doesn't usually have monster, crazy seasons. I know he did with Brady that one year, but I mean, it's just been a lot of like 1,000 to 1,150 yard seasons, just very consistent. You know what you're going to get. So I think it helps fantasy wise. McLaurin, like I said, I wouldn't depend on winning a league championship with him or he's going to be my savior. But if you're just looking for a reliable guy, I would draft Terry McLaurin any day of the week. If you can get him at a good or auction league, if you can get him at a good price, he's that kind of guy. Like I trust him on my fantasy team. I actually have to kind of agree with you there. I mean, I think he's your target. I think I quite with Jaden Daniels actually kind of coming in here, and I know he's kind of more of a runner, but he also kind of puts up yards too. I think as projections have him, I think he actually sees 1,200 yards this season. I think he
could. Jay Daniels can chuck it. I mean, Sam Howell had a decent arm too, but I mean that dummy couldn't hold on. He couldn't stop turning over the football. Jay Daniels, we'll see what he does, but at least there's hope. At least there's the potential. Just like with AR5 last year with the Colts, it's like there's the potential he could go off, or that he's got more tools than Sam Howell, which isn't debatable. He does.
Which is crazy because the Washington actually was number 1 in pass plays last year. Sam Howell was just chucking the fucking ball. Sam
Howell had he'll be a career backup now, but he had didn't he have a top 10 fantasy season or something crazy?
I don't remember.
15. I don't remember. They were chucking it last year.
So I mean, I don't see why Jaden Daniels can't do that same thing. Come in
easily.
And do the same thing. Maybe they can repeat and actually be in the top 10 for passing plays. But I just think that I don't think we really seen the eliteness yet from McLaurin yet. Like what CeeDee Lamb has done. I don't think he's seen that here.
Another level.
I think he has another level yet. Yeah, and I think I just don't. I just think that what Washington was doing was just kind of simmered down. They weren't really doing a whole lot. So I just think that there's more to McLaurin than what really meets the eye. I don't think he has reached his potential. I mean, 1,000 yards, but I mean, they weren't a CD like a CD level like
a flashy, like a flashy CD, JJ, that
Chase.
AJ Brown, like that kind of guy.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, and I like him being receiver 31. To me, I'll take that any day. If that's where he's going in 2024, sign me up. And Jay was saying that upside too. You don't know that Jane Daniels effect. I don't think it's going to step back. That passing offense, I don't think it's going to go any farther backwards. So he's gonna, and he finished 31 last year. You know what I mean? Just he was PPR receiver points, so it's like he's gonna be in that top 30 mix, like regardless of who's chucking the ball, and you have that potential that maybe he's got another level. Maybe he could be a top 15 fantasy receiver, and then you're getting a hell of a deal. So after that, I could have put Jaden Daniels number 2, but he's still a rookie. He's unproven. It's a wait and see. I'm hot. I'm not there. There's some guys obviously I like more than Jaden Daniels, but I like him a hell of a lot more than I like Caleb Williams. I'll tell you that.
I think we both do.
What? Yeah. Caleb Williams? No. But I put Austin Eckler at 2. And you could debate, Brian Robinson technically had a better year last year. Brian Robinson was, I think, 20th or 21st in PPR points last year for 2023 for running backs. Austin Eckler obviously had a down year for his standards. I mean, there's a lot of, for a lot of years there, he was a top 5, top 6 fantasy back, and he kind of just almost fell off a cliff last year. So I don't know. I'll see what your thoughts are. We can kind of. We'll just combine 2 and 5 because they're kind of interchangeable. Because I'm guessing Eckler was signed for that Antonio Gibson role, to catch passes out of the backfield, occasionally step in and be a feature guy every now and again. But basically, it's Brian Robinson's backfield. I don't know. What are your thoughts on those 2 guys?
Here's my thoughts on Eckler.
Oh, excuse the rock 1 second. Excuse the rock. His cell phone's going off. Oh yeah. Hold on. Cacao. Hello. Hey, it's nothing. He says he knows you. You're nothing.
That's my thoughts on Eckler. I ain't drafting him. I ain't touching him with 10-foot pole. I mean,
he's cooked. He's well done. It's over. There's no resurrection. This is Lazarus. Like he's dead. He ain't coming back. Well, I know your thoughts on Eckler now, but what about Brian Robinson Jr.? The other Pete, Peter Terranova, he's back. He's back. He couldn't get away. Yeah.
My thoughts on Robinson is I probably would draft Robinson for more of a bench guy. I think Robinson's unproven yet. I mean, he's done a little bit, but I mean, we all saw. Yeah, it's solid, but we all know he ended up getting in his golf. He got shot, before the start of the season, so he missed a little bit of time. So yeah. So pretty much, I think Robinson is the better back, in his backfield. I think he's a little bit more proven than Eckler. I just, all the years that Eckler was with the Chargers, and so I just, I think Robinson's kind of more of that upside guy than anything.
I was just hoping that, maybe as a security blanket for a young Jaden Daniels, like maybe, if nothing else, Eckler would have value catching 55 balls out of the backfield for Daniels and kind of piece him together. He's not going to be this isn't, 2020, 2019 Austin Eckler, not at that level, but and then you got his, he's still in the damn, of course he's still in the Chargers outfit. He doesn't deserve a Commander's outfit quite yet.
No, I mean, just look at his backfield. I mean, Eckler, Robinson, and Chris Rodriguez. I mean, it's embarrassing. It is. I mean, it's almost on the same level as the Giants. I mean, when we get to theirs, I mean, I think their backfield might be just a smudge better, but not quite.
I had high hopes for Chris Rodriguez. He was the kid they drafted last year, I think in the 5th round. And like everybody else, I picked him up because injuries. You're in dynasty. You need bodies. You need warm bodies. And I was left very underwhelmed. I was just like, Pete. Eckler ankle injury last year really hurt him. I don't think he's the same guy, but he's also not as bad as he was last year. No way. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. Jay thinks he's old Yeller. Take him out back. Put a slug at him. I think that there might be something there. Like if he can even put up Antonio Gibson stats, and maybe a little more rushing yards than Antonio Gibson, that'd be a solid fantasy year. Picking him up off the scrap heap. I'm not spending a high pick on him or auction league or anything like that. But I mean, if you can get Austin Eckler at a good point, running back 27 is I think you should switch the two. I think Robinson should be 27 and Eckler should probably be 35, but it's here and there.
I think Eckler would be
same level guy,
I think Eckler would be kind of one of those guys for a bye week. You got your main guy for
absolutely. I agree.
Eckler would be
bye week, absolutely.
Yeah, Eckler would be that guy, and especially like if he came up for an auction, I wouldn't even I honestly wouldn't throw a whole lot of him at him.
You throw 25 cents at him like he's the shopping cart at Aldi.
There you go.
I have one. Insert the coin.
But yeah, those are my thoughts on that. It's kind of a small running back room right now. Maybe somebody else pops up in training camp or something that maybe it comes to maybe be a third. We just that we don't know. We just don't know that. That's the thing here with Washington. Do we take a chance on Robinson maybe being a little bit better than Eckler? I mean, these guys are right now they got Eckler. They got Robinson actually projection wise more than Eckler. So maybe swap these guys around. Robinson's the one, Eckler's the two. Maybe Eckler comes in on third downs and that little receiver for a first down kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Pete back again. I leave the quarter in all these cards for the next guy. What a stand-up guy! What a stand-up guy! Everybody should do that. Pay attention. You go to Aldi, you do what Pete does. Number 3, Jay Daniels, quarterback. Technically, they haven't named him the official starter yet, which is ridiculous. I mean, who the hell thinks Marcus Mariota is going to be the starting quarterback? Are you on crack? Have you seen Mark? I know Jay was a fan of his. I know Jay was a fan of his coming out of Oregon back in the day, but we both know he's trash. I mean, you saw the Netflix series. They did the quarterback series. And Mariota was one of the guys.
No, actually,
season 1 or season 2. Yeah, the guy he walked out. He walked out on the Falcons because they put Desmond Ridder in front of him. That was his last 15 seconds of fame. Get him out of here. Jane Daniels needs to be the starting quarterback. Right? Meow.
Right? Meow.
60. So right now, average draft position for Jane Daniels for 2024, quarterback 16. That might be a little, adventurous, but you throw in the run. If he can be anything like Lamar, like just even a little bit, probably. I mean, Lamar's Lamar, but 2-time MVP. But like if he could be like a cut below Lamar in terms of the rushing yards, maybe get you 600 rushing yards and maybe 3,000 passing yards. Mix in some touchdowns here and there and not too many turnovers. I mean, this guy could have he could be a mid-pack fantasy quarterback year one. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. It's, in our last episode again, in the NFC East, I had an opportunity to draft Drake May. I said, hell no.
No.
And a dumb part of me, but I mean, I should have, but in a 2-quarterback league, I should have, but I don't because I have Kenny Pickett and that damn Dorian Thompson for my backup. So I'm hoping for a first-round pick when I tank my ass this year, even though my team's good. But yeah.
he's already throwing the season out. He's just like, yep. It's like the Giants.
Here's my towel, guys. Here.
Yep. Here's the white flag. Here you go. McLaurin, I think he could benefit a little bit from Jaden Daniels, so they might be tied at the hip there. The running backs are kind of separate. We know we admit they're both mediocre at this point. It's not Austin Eckler from a couple years ago. He's just not. Brian Robinson's average as the day sun rises. You know what? Technically, right now, Zach Ertz is listed number 1 on the tight end depth chart. I mean,
What?
Zach Ertz is like, 80 years old? Get him out of here. Ben Sinnott, who we've been talking up for months. We did a spotlight. Jay's probably going to have the link for that too. We like shamelessly plug all of our spotlights because we call our shot before these guys, before they hit. I mean, this guy wasn't a second round pick for nothing. I mean, this kid's got the goods. Reminds me a lot of an old, if you guys were fantasy guys 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, remember Chris Cooley, number 47. He was same skill set, same body type. And he was a damn good tight end. I think he made a couple Pro Bowls, had some really good fantasy years. So, Washington, and even Logan Thomas that they've had the last couple of years, he's been solid. So, they moved off him, but you can't be. Yeah, I'm guessing that you're going to put Ben Sinnott as your number 1 tight end for the Commanders here. You're not gonna try to talk me into one of the scrub backups or Zach Ertz, are you?
Well, no. Zach Ertz, get that trash out of here. I wish I had that sound clip. Get that trash out of here.
Get that trash out of here.
I mean,
or John Bates. That sounds like a horror villain. John Bates.
No,
and I was gonna beat him in the no, it's Ben Sinnott's job.
Yeah, Ertz had a little bit, with the Cards last year, but I mean, they had I can't remember his name now. They had him come in. I can't think of his name now. Dumbfound me. We talked about
he's irrelevant. It's okay. It's
yeah. But I mean, Cole Turner, John Bates, Amari Rogers was a guy from the Jets. He was on their roster.
Scrub.
Yeah. So it's. I mean, I like Sinnott in this position right now, and who knows? Maybe the Commanders could be the team to win the division. Did I just say that?
What?
Oh, shit.
What?
Well, let me refer.
Then you never a time for it.
Right now, I just think that Sinnott is going to kind of be like Laporta for Goff and for. So I think he could be on that playing field.
If you told somebody, I don't. I'd have to look it up. The pre-2023, like where they had Laporta listed. I'm guessing maybe like ADP was maybe 15 to 17, something like that. And the guy ends up being the number 1 fantasy tight end from last year. Yeah. Like if you would have told somebody that, they would have been like, yeah, Laporta will probably be good, but not. I mean, nobody could have seen what was coming with that. So when we say Ben Sinnott being, 27th tight end, like that's highway robbery. If you can get him that low, I mean, this guy's definitely, in my opinion, year 1 could definitely be a top 20 fantasy tight end. Absolutely.
If you think about what the tight end has brought us, I mean, there's hardly been anything. I mean, you have your top 5 guys, and that's it.
Yeah.
Then you have the rest of the guys are just
Trey McBride, and maybe Jake Ferguson. Those two will put their hat in the ring. In terms of being like, kind of cracking the top 5 or on the board, the cusp of it. But
yeah, and that's who I was thinking of. Trey McBride. I was like, Bleh. But yeah,
he was a monster. Second half of last year, he outscored Laporta. I mean, the second half of last year, Trey McBride was just playing out of his mind.
And that's the thing too. I mean, that's going to be the unknown. Can Sinnott be come in and actually be a top 20 kind of guy? I mean, we all hope. I mean, I hope so. I mean, with maybe the Commanders revamping their offense, maybe it might be a little bit different. Well, let's so hope so. I mean, if he's actually there at at the end of the rounds, hell yeah, I'm going to snag Sinnott and actually see what happens. Because I mean, if he actually jumps, actually bursts, hell yeah, dude, you're going to get him at a great fucking value.
Yep, got some value there. So we did the top 5. Now a couple, Jahan Dotson. He's never. I don't know. He's solid. He's kind of like he reminds me a lot of Jalen Tolbert, who we just talked about the last segment. Like he's got potential to do more, but he just, he's going to put up he's going to have his, 6 to 650 for yards, or maybe you're lucky. Maybe the offense gets a little better this year with Jaden Daniels. Maybe he gets you 5 touchdowns, but just the run of the mill. I like him more as a number 3. That's why I'm hoping Luke McCaffrey pops. Like Luke McCaffrey is like the rookie revelation. Because I think if Jahan Dotson was your number 3, I think this could be a team that could compete for the playoffs. Absolutely. You know, if you have Luke McCaffrey step in year 1, and you know, I mean, look at the lineage. I mean, everybody knows that. I mean, CMC's his brother, Ed McCaffrey. Ed McCaffrey was a damn good receiver with the Broncos and Giants back in the day, back in the 90s, and so I mean, he's got the lineage there. So McCaffrey's definitely a guy to keep your eye on. You know, late 3rd round pick. Other than his name, he didn't come in with a bunch of hype. Kind of like a round later than Ladd McConkey, the kid from the Chargers I like too. So you know they're going to find the receiver room for these guys is better than you think. You think the Commanders, you think trash, and like I'm like, no, I like where they're going. I think they're headed in the right direction. The quarterback's going to be an upgrade, and this is just in fantasy and real NFL. It's like the quarterback's an upgrade. The receiver, they upgraded the receiver room. To me, they upgraded the tight end room. Maybe not year 1, but in a couple years, you're going to see how good Ben Sinnott is. Offensive line, obviously, he's got to get a little bit better too, but that's a work in progress. In a couple years, they're going to be right up there. I mean, they're going to be competing, you know, for 11, 12 games, I think.
So I was trying to think here. I'm like, who after McCaffrey do they have on their roster that could be
Dax Milne? You know, like, who the hell are these people?
So I mean, they have Diami Brown, who kind of
Diami Brown. You liked him because he was a UNC guy. Get him out of here.
We had Zacharias, who was with Orlando the year before. Then we have Diane Bird, who was kind of around, but really wasn't really anything. And then we have a Marcus Rosemay Jack Saint.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
I think he was in the I think he was in the Senior Bowl or the Shrine Bowl. He's either one of those. He didn't really get a whole lot, but I mean, he's kind of a small playmaker, a little bit here and there. I think he had a couple good plays. I think he was a Georgia. I think it was a dog. I can't remember what team he played. I think it was Georgia.
If he was on Georgia, he was probably their 5th receiver. I mean, they have some. Georgia's got some players there.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly which college he was for, but I mean, he's 6'1", 205. So I mean, maybe he can come. You know,
decent size.
Right? Yeah, I'm proven.
I was high on him last year. The kid from Penn State they took, not Jahan Dotson, but Tinsley, Mitchell Tinsley.
Oh,
I don't know what the hell happened to him. I thought he had a chance to be I remember doing the Commanders last year when we did our division previews, and I thought Tinsley might be a sleeper. And I guess now he's in the doghouse, or he's borderline going to get cut. So these guys, I mean, it's so hit and miss, especially with these 5th, 6th, 7th round guys. So unless you have a really strong premonition about it, it's more or less just like, okay, I'll let this guy, I'll see what he does. Luke McCaffrey, I trust the family. I trust the lineage. I mean, the guy all conference last year at Rice. I know it's a smaller school, but I mean, that was a pretty good conference last year. They had Tulane and SMU. SMU was ranked. I mean, they had a pretty good conference last year, and he was, pretty much the best receiver. So, I don't know. What are your closing thoughts here on the Commanders?
Jamison Crowder comes in and beats the wide receiver.
Jamison Crowder, what? What? He's still in the league? What? I mean, these are random people at this point. These are random people. Like, just warm bodies. Like, give me McLaurin, give me McCaffrey, give me Dotson, give me Sinnott, and then give me Austin Eckler catching balls out of the backfield, and that'll be just fine for Jaden Daniels. And this team will be better than people think. Yeah, like LA Knight says. Yeah.
I think those are my closing thoughts. I think the only guys we can trust in this offense is McLaurin, Dotson. Splash in a little McCaffrey, and hope to see we get some value on Sinnott, in the tight end position, because we all need it when we're kind of begging, looking for guys. So those are all my overall thoughts on that, anyways.
And I was just gonna get this in because we're in an hour 44, so I was just gonna just to piggyback on McCaffrey quick, and then we're gonna get into the Giants. Just kind of show you what he did. He's got good size. He's a former quarterback. He was at Nebraska. I mean, so he was a D1 quarterback at one point. Recruited. He was after Adrian Martinez. So, I don't know. I think this kid's gonna hit. I think Not like number one elite level guy, but I think he's going to be solid for a lot of years to come. Basically, what they wanted Jahan Dotson to be the last few years is what McCaffrey is going to turn into, in my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of remember little bits that it's like, ooh, hey, look, I was like, ooh, a quarterback that maybe it could be efficient for the Cornhuskers. Nope, he transfers out, and I'm like, God damn it, So, but I mean, other than that, Cornhuskers got some guys, some prospects, and
Dominic Raiola.
Yeah, some guys are. I'm keeping my
He'll
eye
transfer
on them.
too. Ohio State's going to pay him more in a couple years. He'll be gone.
No, but yeah. Anyways, yeah, those. I think McCaffrey will be. He's a good look.
And now we've reached the point of the show where this is the dumpster fire. I'm not going to be nice about this. I'm not. This team is trash. They're right there with the Patriots, and I'll say the same thing. I'll say the same thing about the Panthers when we get to them too. But at least they have a running back I like a lot. Like maybe a couple receivers too. So there's some hope. Giants have one guy. They got one guy. Jamie, they got one guy. Malik effing Neighbors. That's who they have. He is the modern day OBJ is what he is. Yep, there he is. Yep. This is only the team isn't as good because they don't have Eli Manning or Justin Tuck, any of the other famous Giants from 10 years ago. Okay, they ain't got nothing like that around anymore. The cupboard is bare. This is a bad team. It's a bad fantasy team.
I guess.
Okay, obviously we agree. What are your thoughts on Malik? I mean, he's the number one guy here. No questions.
Yeah, Malik's good. It was, and I was listening to their show here before a little bit. I know some of those guys were kind of in on Neighbors and out on Neighbors at the same time, but I'm just kind of like, it's like it's some of the stuff they were talking about was kind of interesting. It comes down to it's more the competence of quarterback that do they have a competent quarterback?
No, they don't. But this guy, he's that good. He's gonna overcome Daniel Jones and whoever the hell Carson Beck, whoever the hell they draft in 2025, because Daniel Jones ain't gonna be on the fucking team.
It was more the thoughts of that Brian, his sidekick Thomas will end up being better than Neighbors.
Oh, what? Oh, so Trevor Lawrence is that much better than even Daniel Jones? Come talk to me later. Last time I checked, Christian Kirk was down there, and I kind of like him more than I like Brian Thomas Jr. But
yeah, so it's more the competent of can Daniel Jones throw the ball down to Neighbor? I mean, we have to remind ourselves that Jones was actually a top 10 quarterback in 2022. I mean,
with the rushing, yes. Yep.
Yeah, and that was kind of his upside. But I mean, I know a lot. These guys. I mean, they overall in general, they were in the bottom. I mean, look at it. I mean, rushing plays, they were high at 7th. Passing plays, pretty much dead last. They didn't have anything high at Sterling Shepard, Rondale. They didn't have Hodgson. So they had mediocre guys that were I mean, I was hoping Hyatt would come in and maybe try to be the one. That didn't happen. I mean, with bouncing around with quarterback, not having a stable quarterback in there. I mean, we all love a little bit of this, but I mean, and that's the sad part about it. Now they got a wide receiver one, so I'm hoping maybe this looks a little bit different. No Saquon, no Barkley, but the Giants backer or running back room, total trash, garbage, mediocre people. I mean, it's not all bad, but I'll get into that in a little bit.
No, I'm going to say it. They fucked up Saquon Barkley. Like people can say whatever they want about the Lions and Stafford. Like, hey, they might have cost him a Hall of Fame career kind of thing. Stafford might still get in. He's still got a couple years left. He wins another Super Bowl. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. And with his passing stats, but like Saquon wasted what, 6 years with the damn Giants? 6 quality. Yeah, we'll see. You're going to see how good he is with the Eagles. Just wait. Get your popcorn. Okay, that running back room, like Jay said, is trash. I almost call him Daryl Strawberry. Same city. I don't know if he does all the drugs that Daryl Strawberry did back in the day, but Devin Singletary cannot be a number 2 fantasy player on your team under any circumstances. How many teams let him go? The Bills, Texans. They just hey, walk. You're not good enough. You're not good enough, dude. Sorry. That's because he is. He's an 800-yard. He doesn't catch any fucking passes. He's an 800-yard, 900-yard, if you're lucky, running back that does nothing else. He doesn't score any touchdowns. Okay, so nix him out of the way. Tyron Tracy, he's interesting. I put him at number 5 because I don't have anybody else. Who am I gonna put Darius Slayton? I don't trust his health. Jay had him on the previous screen. I don't trust Darius Slayton. I don't trust, Sterling Shepard. I think he's with might be with the Bucks now, or I forget who picked up Sterling, but
yeah, I know who picked up Sterling.
Was it Tampa?
It's on your wall back there.
Oh, we did. Oh, well, he's gonna get hurt for us too. So get him out of here. Okay. All those Giants receivers, to me, they're all interchangeable. If they are healthy, Wandale, slot guy. Wandale's decent, but some of the other guys they're hot. Hodgins, and just a bunch of. Let me read off some of these guys for you here. Let's do a story time. Isaiah McKenzie. What the hell has he done since he left Josh Allen? Jalen Hyatt. Yeah, I'm gonna say I was wrong about him. This guy, no. I'm out. I'm sorry, quarterback, the level of talent, I'm out on Jalen Hyatt. My brother was right. My brother called it last year. Kudos to him. Yeah. Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson has an NFL. I'm topping. I'm about to cry. How does Allen Robinson still have a job? Answer me, damn it. Football God. How in the hell does Allen Robinson still have a job? He's old as dirt and can't play anymore. This team, they just have bodies. You might as well get cheap rookies. You're paying Daniel Jones $40 million a year. You might as well have some cheap labor. That's why they got Eric Gray, who was, decent in college at Oklahoma. I will say that, but in the pros, he hasn't stayed, wasn't healthy last year. Tyron Tracy didn't have a lot of stats in college at Purdue and Iowa, so I don't know. Yeah, Giants are a dead team. Yeah. See these? Yeah. It's over. Just bam, bam. Boondock Saint style, man. Just it's over. Okay. I don't know. Yeah. What am I going to say? Nice. Daniel Jones is projected for 17 passing touchdowns. He ain't going to get that. I don't think he's going to be healthy enough to get that. Probably have like 10. Tommy DeVito. I love the Tommy Tuttle story. Hey, Stomat. I love the whole story, man. But he ain't gonna take that over again. They pretty much Tim Tebow'd him. Like Tommy, if you want to create some buzz and make me care about the Giants and Jay to care, start Tommy DeVito. He's actually pretty mobile. Like Tommy DeVito actually had some decent fantasy games last year. Like if you want any kind of interest or like at least be a cute little team that people are like, oh, the Giants, but I like, they're shit, but that DeVito, I like him. They don't have any likable players. They have nothing. Look at this. This is trash. Look at these receivers. Trash. I didn't even get to the tight end. I didn't even get to the tight end room. Daniel Bellinger, who's like tight end 36, if that's even possible. How do you not have a tight end in the top 32? Like for draft position for 2024. How the hell do you not have at least a starting level tight end? They don't. And why the hell they didn't take a Ben Sinnott or even like a Jatavian Sanders or somebody like just the hell is wrong with this team? Pause a little bit. I'm gonna look at their tight end depth chart here again because this is driving me cuckoo here. What the hell? Right. What is this? Theo Johnson, their fourth round guy, he's probably going to end up starting. That's how bad Daniel Bellinger is. Theo Johnson's probably going to end up starting.
More than likely. So in this Giants, so the Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson probably are the guys you're going to want in this offense more than likely. Neighbors, yes, I think he's going to. In our previous episode, our hot takes episode, I said Neighbors is going to lead all rookie wide receivers with targets. I'm still going to book it, still taking it. Rondell Robinson, he had some low. 500 some odd yards. He's kind of like, the rest of these guys are kind of like the mediocre, kind of like here's only 500 some odd yards. Here's your 600. It's kind of like the Brandon. So pretty much Robinson is like your Brandon Cooks. He's like your Brandon Cooks. He's like your Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks. Yep.
Yep. And I was hoping for more from Jalen Hyatt. Your brother was probably right that he's
He's John Ross. He's John fucking Ross. Not John Wick, but John Ross. He's got speed, and that's it.
Yep. We already know what Slayton was. He was the target leader. Yep. He was the target leader with the Giants because that's all they had last year.
That's all they had. Yeah.
Yeah, that's honestly all they had.
This guy was their he was their number one receiver. How the hell is that possible?
Yep. You had Barkley in there for target share is gone. Waller he retired at the beginning of this year.
Retired. Saquon gone.
Yep. Now they got Theo Johnson to come in here, and he's going to probably see about 8% target share in with this offense. They're going to have these little dump offs somewhere. So if you think about it, they do two tight end sets every now and then, more one. So maybe, Theo Johnson will be I think Theo Johnson probably a guy to, unless something happens during preseason that, Theo Johnson comes out and he's like, hey guys, look at me, draft me or whatever. He's probably going to be just a waiver wire darling, maybe sitting there at the second half of the season more than likely, because Danny's got to throw the ball to somebody. He's got to. If he's hurt, hopefully not. But
the defense. What do you mean throw the ball? He's going to run. He's going to run out of the pocket and get hurt. And then, like I said, it's going to be Tommy DeVito. He'll be playing in there. It's sad. It's sad when Darius Slayton can't even crack my top 5. He's not even a top 5 fantasy player on his own damn team when he was the number 1 receiver last year. So it's horrible.
It is. So let's I know the running back room here was kind of, which I don't like it. It's kind of mediocre. There's nothing to be excited about.
As the kids say, it's sus. It's suspect. It's sus.
It's like biting into a bad apple and you just toss it away. This is what we have here with the Giants rushing.
Yeah.
It's not. It's
Tyron Tracy should not be Tyron Tracy should not be the 5th ranked fantasy player. I'm sorry. He might have some potential, but he should not be. You shouldn't have two. As little as they can run the ball. They can't fucking run the ball. I have 2 running backs in the top 5. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. So Tyrone and Gray are similar. Same run style. Gray probably a little bit better with his speed. A little bit. Tracy, the only thing that Tracy's got for upside here is that he actually played wide receiver and he can do running back. So he's more he's that dual threat running back that can play wide receiver if necessary.
He's gonna need to. He's gonna have to. Be like, we have nobody else. Darius Slayton is hurt again, or he's doing his 550 yards leading the team. Daniel Bellinger can't catch a cold. We're gonna need you to step up. We're gonna line you up out wide.
So when it comes to best ball, I would actually probably draft Tracy or Gray over Singletary because I don't give 2 shits about Singletary.
No,
I think these 2 guys are better than Singletary when it comes. The sad thing is that both Tracy and Gray were drafted both 5th rounders that does have talent. Singletary is shorter. He came from a smaller school, but these 2 guys here, I think there's it's a 1-2 punch. Kick Singletary out of here. I don't give 2 shits about him.
It's like they know they're gonna fail. It's like they know. Fuck, we signed that Daniel Jones contract. We're stuck with him. Nobody's gonna trade for his happy ass. Like, so we can't move him.
I got it. I fucking got it.
What's that?
Here, the Giants tank, and they actually draft Ollie Gordon for their main running back.
Woo! Now, that'd be shocking. But I think Ollie Gordon's definitely worth a first round pick. I don't know if he's like Zeke, Fournette, like one of those Saquon, one of those top 5 backs. But I can see him definitely being if the Giants had a second first round pick, yeah, for sure. And then take Carson Beck with the other. You're gonna need a quarterback and a running back because this is trash. Malik Neighbors needs help. You need SOS. Put SOS in the air. He needs help.
or they draft the kid from Boise State. There you go.
Ashton. Yep. Yeah, he's a good little back too.
There you go.
But I wasn't. I was trying to be nice. I mean, you could have put, a couple other guys, maybe Will Shipley or, you probably don't need a graphic for this. This is just a quick rookies. You can put that up. You can put up the quarterback projection while I got this here. But I was being nice to, especially the Giants. Giants don't deserve 2 rookies in this top 5. But, I said I was talking shit about them for 20 minutes. Malik Neighbors, I think, is the fantasy-wise, rookie-wise for the division, I think Malik Neighbors is the top fantasy rookie. What that means on the bottom, like 2 of 30, means his average draft position in a rookie draft, like if you're doing just a rookie draft, is Malik Neighbors would be the second receiver off the board, and he would be right behind Marv Jr. from the Cardinals. So, obviously, we're not doing the NFC West. So, Malik Neighbors number 1, Jane Daniels. He would be quarterback number 2 behind Caleb Williams. I disagree with that because I think Caleb, my thoughts on Caleb, but NFC East here. So I put Jaden Daniels at number 2. Ben Sinnott, he's tight end number 2, obviously behind Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is going to be, probably year 1, a top 10 fantasy tight end. If the Raiders can actually get him the ball, I don't know. I don't know who the hell. Aiden O'Connell. I don't know who the hell they're going to play a quarterback. Gardner Minshew, please. So we'll see there. But he should be. But Ben Sinnott's the clear cut number 2 after Brock Bowers. So I put him at number 2. Luke McCaffrey, kind of maybe a little surprise. I put him at number 4. I like him quite a bit. I think he's going to crack the starting lineup sometime this year. Or if they do 3 receiver sets, it's going to be him, McLaurin, and Jahan Dotson. So like McCaffrey a lot. He's the 17th of 30 receivers. So I think they're sleeping on him a little bit. And then number 5, Tyron Tracy. Because I threw another Giant in. I could have thrown Will Shipley or a couple other the Fournette, the receiver from Dallas. I mean, there's a couple other options, but I thought I'd be nice to the Giants, put Tracy in there, and he does have potential catching balls out of the backfield. He was a converted receiver in college. So, you have any thoughts on these 5 rookies in that order or anything?
I think it's all right. I don't think we need to change much, but I mean, I'm kind of surprised that we have bad apples and poor craftsmanship for rookies.
Yeah, no, this might be the worst rookie division. I'll tell you that, because there's upside. There is upside with some of these guys, Neighbors. A couple of guys. Depth wise, I mean, there's some divisions we're gonna have 10 to 12 guys we could easily put in the top 5. This, yeah. I mean, I had 4 guys, and then I was it's almost like charity. I charity gave Tyrone Tracy a spot there. There's only 4 guys that should have cracked this, but.
Yeah, and that's about right. I mean, there's nothing wrong. I hope maybe the Washington can get something rolling around, get something a little bit different, with them. Hopefully, maybe Daniels and and Senate can spark this offense. Hopefully they can spark something. So, and those are just some of the things that we end up kind of wanting. We break down here, so you guys get a little bit more of an overview, division wise, stat wise, players we like, dislike, deeper leagues and stuff like that. So I mean, Tracy, I think he's going to be a kid to watch for, and he's already been kind of getting some hype and stuff like that already. So it's just one of those things that we're kind of like, I think Tracy and Gray are better than Singletary as a whole, but those are my opinions there. Senate, I mean, we already talked about him. We already did spotlight him. We love him. I mean, we thought he should be the number 1 tight end off the board, but that wasn't the case. But I think it was one more. Oh yeah, Bowers was one, and then I think Senate came off. But it's crazy to think that when we did our little pre-cut for Senate that his dad found our tweet and retweeted it, which was fucking awesome. Just little thing.
Papa Senate, anytime. Open invitation to Pete, Supernova Pete. Open invitation to Papa Senate too. Anytime he wants to chop it up with the other Rhythm Boys. We're here.
Yeah. So just real quick here, we're kind of getting hit the end of our show here real quick. With quarterbacks here, I did a quick breakdown here real quick. So for the last 8 years that Prescott's been in the in the league, he's been averaging 330 some odd fantasy points yearly. That's even with his 1 year where he kind of missed and had his ankle injury or whatever. And then we have Jalen Hurts at 331. He's only been here in the league for 4 years. And then we have that damn Daniel Jones averaging about 214 some odd fantasy points, and he's been in the league for 5 years. And then we have the unrated, the unknown of Jaden Daniels. They got him, at 312 projected. So I mean, just looking at this, the guys we would want for fantasy out of this freaking, division is mostly Prescott and Jalen Hurts. The unknown of Jaden Daniels, we don't know. Daniel Jones will just kick him like a football and hopefully make a field goal with him.
Yeah, we know, like, beginning of the stream, if you guys hung around, for the whole thing, our thoughts on Dak Prescott, and we spell it press because he's about to press a Super Bowl championship for the Dallas Cowboys. Hopefully, for Jay's sake, he's been suffering, but
yes,
so, it's Dak Prescott. Jalen Hurts, the young kid Jaden Daniels has potential for sure, and then Daniel Jones is trash. Daniel Jones will be he might even be replaced this year by DeVito or Drew Lock. I mean, let's just be honest. Danny Dimes, he's trash. The only reason he's still playing is because he signed that contract. So get him out of here. Carson Beck and Ollie Gordon, report for duty. You're about to head to New York here, try to save this franchise.
Yeah, damn right. But yeah, we appreciate everybody who actually stuck in, watched, listened, and we had a few comments here and there. I mean, we're still growing, but we take the time to effort to put statistics and stuff like that out there for all the viewerships, and even the the 125 or 225 views we had on our last one, which was nice because it's totally unexpected, and hopefully we can have the same turnaround with all these divisions. When we started these divisions last year, kind of did the same thing, ranking system, and I added the graphics and stuff like that for this year to kind of get more of a breakdown of this, seeing everything and projections and stuff like that. So we hope everybody appreciates that and likes that. But yeah, you guys can catch us on Apple, Spotify, and we have our Discord link that is in the description as well. You can follow me at Autorhythm Fan and X, Eli at Apple at X2, whichever. But I think we're going to be hitting the AFC North next Wednesday, and then the previous Wednesday we'll be hitting that AFC North where everybody loves those Lions, Packers, and who knows what else is in that division. But
I'll be hitting it. We got Russell Wilson. Is there anything left? Justin Fields, maybe jumped him. Do we have some? Is Joe Burrow actually going to stay healthy? And maybe the rookie receiver they took is going to pop and replace T Higgins. Maybe we'll get into him a little bit. I know he's been getting some hype. Is it going to be Deshaun Watson? We're gonna maybe see some Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston back from the dead with the Cleveland Browns, or maybe the tried and true, the only consistent in the division, the Baltimore Ravens. Thank you, Pete. Yes, you are fired too, my brother. Maybe get in some Baltimore Ravens, talk Lamar, revamped running back room. They got rid of J.K. Dobbins, got rid of Gus the Bus.
Yeah.
Maybe I guess Rashad Bateman. Does he have anything? Is this going to be the last year before they get rid of him? Who knows? So got four teams. And a lot of good stuff coming next Wednesday.
Yes. A lot of spoilers he just gave away.
I did. I don't care. They're gonna tune in because they need more of this. They need more of this.
But anyways, we appreciate everybody. Pete, we appreciate you for jumping in with us. It was a great great debates back and forth. We appreciate that. That was great. We appreciate you. But yeah, I think it's time for us to get up out of here. It's already 2 hours over. We try not to go over 2 hours. The limit's 2 hours. But you know, when I got my co-host over there, he just likes run and run. We actually
and TV they call this an overrun. We're over 10 minutes, whatever.
No, but hey, Swift, we appreciate it. It doesn't matter as long as you're here viewing and learning something. That's all that matters.
Keep us on the background, dude. Like whatever you're up to, I always appreciate it. And if you have any fantasy interest next week in the AFC North, tune back in again. Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right, guys. From Out of Rhythm, I'm Jamie. That's Eli. Catch us next Wednesday when we hit that pesky AFC North. Later, guys.